Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, we could really use your help. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, recently named the Two Opinionated podcast one of its top 100 podcasts. This is a monumental feat for this program. You know, we're a father and son team out of a small town in West Virginia, have been doing this for about 5 years. There's 15 million podcasts out there. About 40,000 of those get to the point that they're listed on IMDb. Out of those 40,000 out of the 15 million, we were ranked number 82. Something that we're just immensely proud of. We're so thankful for our listeners, our watchers, our fans. Thank you so, so much. If you would like to help us out, and we're asking for it, please. It's easy. It's really easy. It's free. If you go to IMDb, that's imdb.com, look up Two Opinionated Podcast, and just take a look at the page. That's all you have to do. I mean, you're welcome to look at the cast, look at the episodes so you can kind of see who's been on the program. Do whatever you want. But even just bringing up the page, imdb.com, Two Opinionated Podcast, bring up the page, look at it. That helps us so much. So please, if you can do anything, we would really appreciate that. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Love to have your subscription there. It's also free. And you can also check out our website, meistercon.com, where you'll find almost 700 episodes, audio and video, available on there. There's also a terrific blog from Brett, and it'll let you know anything that we have going on in studio, if we're covering a convention, if we're going on location, anything that we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so, so much. We appreciate you so much. I can't express enough how appreciative we are of all of you. We never expected to do as well as we have, and that's all because of you. Thank you so much. Enjoy that interview. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated. So excited today. I've got actress, writer, director, producer Laurel Brady with me. So welcome, Laurel. That's a lot of hats.
Thank you. Yeah, just a few hats. No big deal. Tap dancer. No, just kidding. I don't.
Well, hey, everybody needs to know how to dance a little bit.
Right.
I never really progressed past what I called the middle school sway, where you just kind of step side to side.
Yeah.
That was the peak of my dancing.
But it's a classic move, the sort of back and forth.
Yeah.
And most beats you can kind of get. Well,
I've observed other men around my age dancing, and they're basically doing just variations of that dance. They might add some hand movements or something, but it's basically the middle school sway.
I think we all do the middle school sway. I think maybe we add some hand gestures.
That's it.
There's some people who can, I have a best friend who can really dance. But I feel like for the rest of us, we just sort of get by swaying, moving a bit.
That's it. There's something about somebody that can actually dance. I mean, it's hard not to watch them, men or women. Yes. If you see somebody that can really move and looks good doing it, you're like, hey, that's all right.
Yes. It's the same with people who are really good at singing. Have you ever gone to karaoke with someone who's really good at singing?
It's not fair.
It's not fair. I actually resent it, to be quite honest.
We all do.
Okay,
it's how dare you?
Yeah, how dare you sing with your glorious angelic voice? I want you to just sound like the rest of us.
Yes, at least you should go last.
Yeah.
Because who wants to follow somebody like that?
No one does.
The trick, I think, with them is you have to buy them a lot of shots.
Yeah, so they don't sound as good?
That's right. Get them messed up.
Okay. You see, such good tips already.
I'm out there sabotaging people trying to get their karaoke on.
I love this. I'm going to take that next time I go to karaoke.
Yeah. Try it.
Everyone here.
Not that I've done it.
Oh.
I wouldn't admit to that.
You would know. You're too classy for that, but I'm not.
That's right. I wouldn't just sabotage somebody. That's terrible. As far as you know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
So let's start this way, Laurel. Tell me a little bit about what got you into entertainment. I mean, that's not an easy industry to try to get into. What made you want to do that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's so funny because like when I was little, I definitely wanted to be a doctor for a while.
Okay.
But I wasn't good at math or science. So I would be,
I think that messes a lot of people up.
I think so. I think I would have had a heart of gold, but like been an accidental murderer of people. Not intentional, but I would have been, known for like the doctor who, accidentally hurt a lot of people. So that's a good thing that I didn't go down that path.
Have you ever got to play a doctor?
No, but I've played a patient. So
okay.
Yeah. Not the same. See, even in my acting career, I didn't even get to play a doctor.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not touching that.
No. the scarring of it, no. But yeah, I was always in sort of school plays as a kid, and did jazz and stuff like that, and musical theater and that kind of stuff, and just sort of standard plays as well without musical numbers involved. And then kind of very quickly, or kind of through high school, I just made a decision that I wanted to go to theater school. And so went to theater school, and kind of at that part in my life really realized that I wanted to do acting and writing. And so for many, many years kind of worked in theater as a playwright and an actor. And then I remember how I switched to film specifically was I was in an editing session for a photo shoot I did. And the editor was talking to me about a play that I was doing. And she's like, isn't it sad how it just kind of goes away after you're done the play? And I was like, what?
It is now.
Yeah, I had never felt that way. But she just had, it was like this epiphany moment where, and by the way, I still love theater. I still like work in that space as well. But there was something about that where I was like, you're right. Like it doesn't get captured in the same way. And it is its own beautiful thing that should be celebrated. And I love it so much. But something in me clicked where I was like, I do want some of my own stories to kind of have a little bit more longevity to them. If that makes sense. Yeah,
I've never heard it explained that way, but that makes sense. Because there's a limited run. It might be a long limited run, but at some point the play is going to end.
Exactly. And there's beauty in that. There's something beautiful in that. It's just hard when all of your work is like, oh, let me tell you about this play I did. And people are like, what was it like? And you can explain. They're like,
yes. Or where can I see it? Well,
up here. Yeah.
Is it easier to write like a play or a screen script?
I think they're fun and challenging in different ways.
Yeah.
In theater, you can make up a whole world and the audience really participates in imagining that scenario. Right. So you could be in like a black box theater and be on the other side of the world or be in like a magical kingdom. And there's something really cool about that. In film, and something that was actually a little bit challenging when I made that transition was to be able to operate on like a larger budget where people are obviously not like a very low budget. I remember someone once saying, they're like, you can have it more than people in more than just like an apartment and a coffee shop. They're like, you can have them in other rooms. And I was like, oh God, that makes sense.
But you don't have to make everything out of cardboard or anything. You can
have physical sets if you want, like people will build those, but it was switching that mentality. And then in film, it's like, obviously everything is so expensive. So that's like, and there's, again, that's kind of cool because you can do these amazing big things and you can have actors and these crazy scenarios that people can physically see with their eyeballs as opposed to their imagination. But yeah, so I guess it's like hard in different ways. Yeah. Or fun in different ways, both.
Yeah. I love that because you hear, if you talk to enough actors, most of them will say, I prefer theater. but they all work in film and TV.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
There's
Yeah.
the loving the art or connecting with the audience, that type of thing. But then, theater work for most people, not an easy way to make a living. Not that acting is, but at
Yeah.
least if you get in film and TV, you got a little more income coming in.
Exactly. And it's like if you get a great team on a film set or a TV set, I feel like you can really bring that creativity, but there is a bit of a time crunch. And in theater, you're practicing, you're rehearsing for so much longer that you do kind of bond with people. You kind of know the beginning, middle, and end of a story because you're present for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I found as an actor, or even just going on set in general, it's so broken up. Like it's a little bit like you could show up for your day, do your scene, and have no clue what the rest of the script even says because you didn't get access to it.
Yeah.
You're like, who knows?
It's so
what
weird.
Yeah.
I'd have trouble with that, which is just one of a zillion reasons why I couldn't act. But I'd want to know the whole story.
Me too. I think that's why I love the writing aspect so much, because I'm like, oh, I want to know everything. I want to know why people are doing it. And yeah.
Do you act in your own stuff?
I do sometimes.
Yeah.
I do sometimes. I did a lot in the beginning, which was actually really fun. And I think I found my voice like as an actor and as a writer through that. Yeah, which is really cool. But then I feel like in the last few years, I'm kind of selective of when I'm in it or not, because, not every role is actually, I'm not the best person for it.
Right. You don't put yourself in as a cameo, at least?
I do like a little cameo.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like a cameo. Yeah.
I would do that.
Yeah.
Even as poor an actor as I would be, if I was writing something, I was like, I'm putting myself in the background, or, I'm maybe in a convenience store, buying something where it doesn't have anything to do with the movie, but I'm in the scene.
I mean, I want this for you. And I feel like you could totally do this, because the trick is, it's like you could write yourself like the most subtle character. You could write yourself the most bonkers character. You kind of see that in a lot of films where the filmmaker or the writer is these weird side character, like in a cool way, weird side character. So you could do that.
That describes me so well. Okay. Weird side character. That's me.
Me too. I knew there was a reason why we get along.
So your new work is Chronic.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what that one's about.
Yeah, so it's a new short film. I wrote it and co-produced it, and my brother Brendan Brady directed it and co-produced it with me. And it's starring Nadine Bhabha, who was in Letterkenny and a lot of other amazing.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's awesome. I love Nadine so much. She's like salt of the earth, such a cool person. And it's a short film and also a proof of concept for the larger project. But basically, it's about a young woman who recently experienced a brain injury and is now dealing with that and chronic pain. And what happens over the short is she's invited to sort of this birthday party from hell, where by the end of the night, without giving it all away, she's sort of reevaluating her relationship to her injury, her new body, like as in the pain and stuff like that, and her relationships with her friends. And it kind of, there's also I don't want to give too much away, but yes, that's what I'll say. That's what I'll say.
And so I'm guessing that our person has suffered this brain injury, is still recovering, and goes to the party. And I know what that's, I know that situation. Lights probably bother you, loud noises, all of that stuff she's having to deal with while pretending that she's having a good time at the party.
Exactly. Yeah. And she's a little bit younger in the film. She's 24. So it's like her friends, they're not callous people, but they're young and they want to party and they don't
want to be out.
Exactly. So there's sort of this duality in the short where it's like, she's not getting a lot of empathy from her friends. Yeah. But they also just don't necessarily have the lived experience or maybe the maturity to be able to empathize with her. So it's kind of these two dueling perspectives in the film.
Yeah. So is this true story, fiction?
Yeah. So the larger project, which I actually wrote first, it's a TV show that we're actually like pitching out into
I
the
was
world
assuming
now.
that the goal is to get this made into a
Yes.
movie or a TV show. Yeah.
Exactly. The goal is like a longer form
Mhm.
project. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. But what was the question? Sorry, like went for my head.
Let's check the tape. No, I was asking if it's based on a true story.
True story. Okay, good. That really just flew out of my head. It is based on a true story. I actually had a brain injury and whiplash in 2019 from a work-related injury. It was like a really sort of horrible experience. I smashed like this, like the soft part of your head.
Yes, that hurts just you saying the soft part
Right.
of it.
I know, the visceral, like it kind of makes you like nauseous a bit. I smashed it on 5.5 inches of granite.
Oh my gosh.
And
you shouldn't do that.
No, I do not recommend it for anyone listening. Please, like, take it from me. I have done the research. It's not a good choice. But I did, and I was told, you have a mild concussion.
Yeah.
Which I think we're learning more and more.
I was going to say it was probably not a mild concussion.
Right. I was told I would heal within like a couple days to a couple weeks. And very quickly, that was not the case. I was like on bed rest and not able to work, not able to look at screens for more than like 20 minutes for kind of 6 months. And it's sort of taken years. Well, yeah, it's taken years to heal. And even now I have certain sort of sensitivities and kind of pain and after effects from the injury. Yeah. So I kind of wanted to write this piece to explore with humor, of course, which is like everything in life. There's like this duality to it. It can be a horrible experience, but also kind of be like darkly
well, especially
funny.
looking back. Once you're through it, looking back, you can kind of see the humor in it, but it's hard while you're going through it.
It totally is. I don't think in the moment I necessarily found any of it super funny, but like looking back, I can see the situational humor of what I was experiencing. And so I kind of wrote this film to just explore, this sort of horrible and tiny bit hilarious healing process. And kind of wanted to create a main character who we don't necessarily see on screen all the time, because people with like people with chronic pain or living with disability, they're not necessarily the main characters. And I mean, I know there's examples of films and things that use humor, but that's something that's really important to me as a person. So I really wanted to bring that into the work as well.
Yeah, I love that, because you've got the humor, which will help attract eyes to it, but underneath it, you're showing the struggles of actually having to go through that kind of rehabilitation. And it can, a concussion, a bad one especially, it can change your whole personality, at least for a time.
Yes.
With that. And you're right, you really don't see that on TV. And it's in the news all the time. They're looking at people and kind of studying how brain injuries work and that type of thing. But TV movies haven't really caught up with that yet.
100%. And something that I found really interesting around how we portray concussions, brain injuries of whatever degree is in TV. You can see any shows and it's always like a joke. It's like, oh, they just have a concussion, or, oh, it's just like, don't worry, it's just a concussion.
They'll be fine by the next episode.
And they have like a cute little, they have like a Band-Aid here and that's it. Maybe they're little days, they have the ringing in their ear for 5 seconds and that's it. That's all they experience. And that was not my experience on any level.
No, this one spoke to me quite a bit, because my son, he does all the editing on the podcast. The podcast was his idea. Wow. He had a bad concussion when he was going to freshman in high school. He was a big kid. He was 300 plus pounds, so he played on the offensive line, if you know football at all. And they were just practicing, and he had a smaller kid come up underneath him under the chin And we thought the same thing. Mild concussion, no big deal. Rest for a few days. Well, he missed his entire year of school.
Yes.
Because he spent 6 months just in the dark.
Yes.
Couldn't stand music, light. You know, his personality completely changed. I mean, he really struggled. Now, to his credit, you know, once he was able to get out of the bed, you know, he wasn't able to play football anymore. So he lost all that weight. He lost like 160 pounds. You know, he's a little skinny guy now.
Wow.
But he, you know, it took him years to get to the point where he could stand to listen to music, to, you know, spend too much time on a phone or a computer or anything like that. And he still has a few after effects, but for the most part, it's behind him. But so when I saw this one, I was like, well, heck, we know what that's like. You know, we've experienced it, you know, as a family. So, and Brett is his name. He said the same thing. He's like, that's going to bring back some memories.
Oh, shoot. Well, I'm so sorry he went through that. And I very much empathize.
Well, yeah, it sounds like you went through about the same thing.
Yeah. I remember after because you know how they make you do that 2-week period after, well, I don't know if it was the same thing, but you kind of rest for the 2 weeks and then you're like cleared to go back. And I remember I was in a play and I spent a week and a half in rehearsals and I was like not good. I couldn't move my neck. First of all, I had so much scar tissue. I couldn't like move my neck. And I just was like constantly sitting down, nauseous, like I shouldn't have been cleared to go back. And I remember kind of a week and a half into rehearsals, like I looked like a ghoul. I was like so pale because I was in so much pain. Yeah. And I went to my doctor and I was like, I can't think, I can't stand. I'm like nauseous and all this stuff. And she's like, you cannot go, like you have to quit the show. And it was like, 6 months completely on bed rest in the dark, no music, no movies. I remember a friend came to visit and she's like, what's the rest of your day looking like? And I was like, oh, I sat up today. Like, this is my day.
Yeah, this is it.
This is my
day.
And
that's hard from someone else's perspective because they don't know what to say. They don't know how to help. It's because they've probably never been through anything like that. It's difficult.
Yeah. And you look okay. Like, like potentially, like I know that at a certain point I looked from the outside, like I looked kind of miserable, but I looked okay. So I think, you're absolutely right. People have no clue. And it's not, them trying to be mean or not supportive. It's just they literally don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like I've been to outer space and I can intellectually be like, oh, that's nice, but I don't know. I haven't been to space.
That's right. I haven't been to space. Well, I can tell you a funny story about Brett. So it's kind of funny now. It was not funny at the time, but he did try to go back his freshman year in the spring. So he went back for a couple of days. Well, I think the second day he was back, they had a food fight in the cafeteria. He gets hit in the head with an apple.
No.
And I honestly don't know how much it, made it worse or anything, but we were like, the heck with that. We pulled him back out, stuck him back in the room, and then he went back in the fall.
That's so, and also, it's a weird thing about that story. There are so many people I know who've had a similar thing. Like I remember when I got my concussion, someone was telling, because everyone tells you their stories about someone they know, right? And someone's cousin got a concussion, kind of a week in, went to a party, not drinking. She just wanted to sit with her friends. And some drunk person like smacked her in the head and she got a double concussion.
Oh my gosh.
Which is really dangerous. Like
that's when it can get really bad.
Exactly. It's like if you get a concussion on top of a concussion, it's very hard to heal. I'm obviously not.
Well, that's what we think happened to Brett. Like we think he got a minor concussion earlier in the practice. Yeah. And nobody knew.
Yeah.
And then when the larger one happened, that's when he really got hurt, which it probably wouldn't have been as bad if he hadn't had the earlier one a few hours earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't know for sure, but that's kind of just piecing it together. That's what we think. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you're okay.
Thank you. I'm so glad he's okay.
Well, I sympathize so much with you because I know what a struggle that is to get back to just a normal life.
Yeah. It is. It's a hurdle. And it's also, I don't know if he had this as well, but it's strange to also be scared to re-injure. Like that was a big hurdle for me.
He went through that.
Okay, yeah, I think it's quite common.
There was a couple years there where you couldn't get him to do physically much more than walk. He eventually started riding a bike, and now he'll play around with sports and stuff, and plays with, he's an uncle now. He's some of his siblings have kids, and he plays with them, and he doesn't worry about it.
That's good,
because it's been now we're 10 years past it.
Right. That's good. That makes me hopeful. I like this story.
Yeah. It's going to be okay.
Thank you. It's like therapy.
Avoid concrete.
Yeah. No, like rock, surfaces perhaps. Not ideal. Yeah.
No, you don't want to do that.
No. I see granite countertops now, and I'm just like,
yeah.
Like silly.
Yeah, because it's such a fluke thing.
It's such a fluke.
Yeah. And that's most accidents are. You don't get hurt on purpose usually. It's usually just something random that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time.
It's true. And you kind of, I don't know, I remember right after my accident, I'd be like, why? Like just thinking, like going over in my head over and over, why did I do it? And I had to like let that go, because it's like anything in life, an accident, whatever form that takes, the whole reason it's called an accident is because it's
usually because you lose focus for a second, or you get distracted, whatever it is, something happens.
Yeah.
Or you just do something not thinking, and it causes something to happen. I mean, that's normal stuff. We all do that. Usually we don't get, a severe injury.
Yeah. And thank God, because
well, right?
What would we do?
What would we do? Sit in a room.
Just like globally, we'll just sit in a dark room.
Well, and I didn't tell you the other side of the story. So a month or so after he had that, I was in a bad car wreck.
Oh my God.
Like a bad one. And so we're both laid up for like the entire year. And but now the good part of that is during that time we would talk. Mm-hmm. When we get healed up, we're going to do something together. Yeah. We're going to figure it out. We're going to try something together. Well, it ended up being this podcast, and then here we are.
Oh my God.
I don't know that we ever would have done the podcast if we hadn't both got hurt and had all that downtime to just kind of, where we were just kind of talking.
Well, that's really beautiful. I love that. I love that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I wouldn't say makes it worth it.
No, it doesn't make it
helps,
worth it.
Though.
I know, because do you have this thing? I had a lot of people telling, and this is like in my TV pilot, but I had a lot of people say, like, they're like, maybe it's a gift. And I was like,
I'd look at it.
I hate you.
It's more that, maybe I just tried to make the best out of a bad situation.
Exactly. I think that is like, I think I made the best, like you and your son made the best out of a bad situation. And that is beautiful. And I think more of that in the world, that's amazing. I think saying it's a gift that's a crap gift. And I want that gift returned.
Yeah, that's worse than like a toaster or a tie.
Yeah. Or like a toilet bowl cleaner. Like, that's like what the level of gift.
Yeah, that's a toilet bowl cleaner is a gift that like a clueless spouse would get.
Yeah. Do you think someone has given someone toilet bowl
I hope
cleaner?
not.
Me too.
Probably though.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you get Chronic made into a TV show, if you need to run into like a father and son that are going through bad stuff, here, give us a call.
Okay, I will. I'm going to hold you to that. And then it's time for your cameo.
Well, that could be my cameo, but
exactly.
Now if there's any talking, you probably want Brett to do most of the talking.
Okay, fair enough.
But I could be there.
You could be there.
I could be the one going, yeah, that was bad.
I'm going to write that line exactly like that. And then you've already nailed it. You already nailed it.
Then we're ready to go.
That's right.
What's been the reaction for the short film?
It's been really positive. We've been a finalist for Best Dark Comedy at a couple of film festivals. Awesome. Yeah, Austin Comedy Film Festival and Portland Comedy Film Festival. And we just won Best Film at the Great Canadian Comedy Festival a few weekends ago.
That's some pretty big stuff.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And a really big thing, which was cool, is we went to Superfest, which is, I think it's the longest running disability film festival in the world. And so
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's in San Francisco, and we screened there in, I think it was October. And that was a really cool experience because it very much felt like not the main audience, but some of the main audience we really wanted to target with the short film. So
yeah,
and people responded really positively. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. Did you get to go to Austin or Portland? I
ended up not going to Austin and Portland. I've just work-wise, it hasn't worked out, but I have done some of the virtual festivals. So that's been really good.
That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can get it in Sundance is terrific. I've been to that one.
I know. Sundance is
pretty incredible.
Wow.
It's so tiny though. It's just it's just like a block.
Okay. I've never been.
Yeah, it's just like a block, like a street, like you'd find in any small town, but every building is part of the festival. So you just have that lined up. It's very cold. February in Utah, it's cold.
Okay.
So you want to dress really warm if you go, but it's worth it. It was awesome.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I wonder if it's cold to my standard, because we're pretty cold here.
Well, so West Virginia is pretty cold too. Hot in the summer, cold in the winter.
Okay. So maybe,
but I don't know if it meets Canadian cold.
Yeah.
I don't know. For us here in the States, when we think Canada, we think cold.
Yeah.
It's the hockey.
We like hockey, not as not everyone, obviously, but as a country, I think we're known for hockey.
Well, you need ice for hockey. I know that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be cold, but
outside at least. Yeah.
That the nice thing or the funny thing with Sundance is everybody is so bundled up. You have no idea who anybody is with that. And it was funny because we passed people on the street, no clue. But then you'd see pictures of them later wearing, same outfit and everything, but they'd have their hood off or whatever they're wearing. And it's somebody really famous.
Wow.
You're like, I was there with them.
Yeah.
No clue.
And they're so bundled. You're
you can't see anyone. All you see is maybe their eyes. That's,
wow.
It's cold.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I believe you. I'm sure it's cool.
One day when we're both there together, then you can tell me, this is Canadian cold.
Yeah. When we're screening the TV show or whatever, I'll be like, yeah, you're right. I misjudged. It is cold.
Where are you putting it out somewhere where people can watch?
We are. So we have our final festival that's playing this Saturday in LA. So
are you
really
going?
I'm not going to this one.
I was supposed to be in LA this weekend. I think I told you my wife works for Live Nation, so she travels all the time. Well, I have a lot of friends in LA, so when she goes out there, I like to go with her. But they changed her trip to January, so.
Oh no. Yeah. Yes, because then you could have gone for me.
I know. I could have been there representing.
I know. But we're putting the short out on YouTube and probably Vimeo as well, January 31st. So if people are interested, you can stay tuned, and we'll be doing a big release on.
I think they're going to be interested because there's a lot of people out there that have suffered from concussions.
Yeah,
a lot of kids playing sports, and like when I was growing up, they just throw you back in there.
Yes.
They'd be like, shake it off, rub some dirt on it, whatever, get back in there for the next play. You wouldn't even come out.
Of course. And also another cool thing about the larger project, and it's kind of touched on in the short, is that we're also exploring a chronic pain support group that she meets during the short. And so it's all these different folks with different chronic pain and different who are living with different disabilities. And so for the larger project, we're really hoping to explore.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need for a bigger project, because you have other characters.
Exactly. And there's so many things, so many experiences that I think a lot of people, myself included, didn't really know about the intricacies. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and there's probably, I don't have any idea, but there's probably a lot of actors that suffer from a disability or something that would love to work on that project.
Exactly. Yes, this is what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping.
I will be shocked if this doesn't get made into something.
Thank you. That's so nice.
No, I think it will. I think it will, because it's such a good idea that we
Thank
haven't
you.
really seen, especially with some humor involved. Because normally, if anything's about a brain injury, it's on a medical show, you know, or it's a very serious topic,
Yes.
and you
Yes.
don't get any of the humor in it, which I think, you know, anytime you can look at a rough time or a negative period in your life and add a little bit of humor to it, it helps.
I agree. I
You know,
agree.
and what if somebody's watching that's suffering something
Mhm.
similar and they don't feel that humor because they're in it, they're not seeing it, and maybe the movie helps them with that a little bit. They can actually start to see that, okay, other people are going through this. It's not all dire. There's a little bit of humor in there if I look for it.
Yeah. Wow. I think you said that so eloquently. That's exactly,
Those are
that is
words
my
that's
hope.
never been said with me before.
Well, I said it. That was very eloquently put. It was. That's beautiful. Exactly. That's what I hope. You know, it's like maybe exactly what you said. If maybe they're not there yet, maybe down the line they can find some humor in it or get a little hope, hopefully.
Yeah.
Or just be like, this is kind of crap.
Yeah, but I'm not alone.
I'm
There's other
not
people.
alone. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
If nothing ever came from it except making it,
Mm-hmm.
would that still be kind of cathartic for you?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think even writing the pilot script was incredibly cathartic for
Yeah.
me. Just getting it down. And I
Had
think
you been thinking about it for a while?
yes, I think throughout the first 8 months of my healing process,
Yeah.
most of the time when I was like lying down, I was like, would this be interesting for anyone else besides me? And I was like, maybe not, but I think there's something to it for a lot of people who have almost like these invisible time periods where they're at home healing or they're sick. There's a lot of people who experience that, and we sort of separate them from society in some ways, and that can
Yeah.
be very lonely. So I think even if nothing else happens besides the short and just the experience of writing the pilot, that's okay by me. It was a
Yeah,
really
that's
cool
pretty great.
experience.
Do you work a lot with your brother?
We have worked together a couple of times now, which has been really fun.
That's awesome.
Um, he is so talented. He's such a good director, and he also has like some of the most warm and calm energy on set that I've ever seen.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
valuable as a director, especially.
right? And I think like even if he wasn't my brother, I would still think of him as one of my first choices, and especially for this project too, because he has his own experiences with chronic pain and things like that. So he totally got what we were very aligned with what we wanted to do with the project.
Yeah. Well, and he probably got to see some of what you were going through.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you the baby or is he the baby?
I'm the baby.
Okay.
I'm the baby by 9 months because I was premature. So we're called Irish twins
Oh, I like
films.
that.
Exactly. But it was an accidental Irish twin. It's because I was quite premature. To give you my whole life story.
But that also probably is part of the reason you're close, because your ages
Yeah,
are so close together.
exactly. Yeah, he's cool. He's a good guy.
Is that the next project? The premature birth? In there, talk about all the struggles you had as a newborn.
Honestly, actually, like my mom actually wrote a play about that. Funny enough.
Really?
Yeah, and he actually wrote the screenplay for it. So that's ironic that you mentioned
Hilarious.
that. So not on my end, but maybe for him. We'll see. I'll let you know.
So is everybody in your family a writer?
They're all in the arts in some capacity. And I definitely think they've written, whether they fully identify that. But yeah, my mom's a really amazing writer. And my dad's a writer and like producer, mostly in documentary side of things, but some what's live action, I guess is the right way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a reality maybe.
Yeah.
I think coming from a creative, artistic family is very freeing for most people, and it allows you to kind of explore things that maybe you wouldn't try if the family wasn't as artistic and creative, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I come from a family that's not super creative. They're musical in a lot of ways, but not real artistic. But then, my wife's family, everybody very musical, very artistic. They most of them paint. They write. They do all that stuff, and it, I can see the effect it has, not just on her, but our kids, the grandkids, all that, because they grow up around that. So they're not, they don't worry, or they're not shy to try anything.
That's really cool.
It's pretty great.
That is really cool. Yeah, I feel like my parents, like, it's sort of similar to your wife's family. It's like, just to, like, obviously because they work in the arts, they're very like honest about what that looked like from a very young age, which I think is actually quite helpful. But also,
there's a reason
supportive.
It's called starving artists.
Exactly, right? There's like a time where you're probably making a lower income for sure. And I think they've just been very supportive of it. Actually, my dad was an executive producer on the short film, so that was really cool too. So it was very much like
it was like a family affair,
a little family. Yeah, it's kind of cute.
Well, and I'm guessing, as just coming as a parent, probably was pretty great for your mom and dad to see that you've recovered enough where you can actually write about it. That's awesome.
Totally, yeah, that's a good point.
Have you been back to the place that you got hurt?
I've walked by it and I started sweating.
Yeah.
But I should go back in because it was at a theater in downtown Toronto, because I was like working an event, and so it was like the box office area. But I should go back. I'm gonna go back. You've inspired me.
Do you wear a helmet when you go back?
I think I'll wear a full like Michelin Man.
See, because that would be funny to me. I'd laugh at
right?
that.
Yeah, but like for me or the character in the show.
Well, I was thinking more the character in the show.
Okay,
it'd be funny for you too.
Okay,
but I think like the character struggling, like somebody saying, "Well, you need to go back and get over that."
Yeah,
like riding a bike, you got to get back on it and stuff. So she's like, "Okay, I'm going to do it," but then she has to go in. She's covered up in a football helmet or something.
Exactly. Honestly, I like for a while, I wonder if your son was the same way. For a while after my accident, I was like, should I just get like a cute helmet that I can wear around? And like, I remember my neurologist was like, there's this catalog and they look like football helmets. And I was like, that's great. And some people want that, but I ended up just wearing a lot of hats, I think.
Did you like with Brett? Years later, he was in a bike wreck. It wasn't even a real bad one. He scraped himself up and stuff. But he texted me to say, "Hey, I need you to come get me. I wrecked my bike." And I mean, I broke out in a sweat. I was like, "Oh Lord, he's hit his head again." And he was fine. No injury. But have you had any of that? Have you had any close calls where you had kind of panic?
Oh yes, I've had multiple. Nothing as bad as like the initial incident, but I think there's a weird thing that I've experienced, which is like, once you hurt your neck in that way, or even your head, I find that my body is overreactive. So like even a tree branch hitting my head, my neck and stuff seizes up in a way it doesn't understand, like actually hitting my head versus
it thinks, I got to protect you.
Exactly. It's actually wild. And that's something like I'm still working on with like a physiotherapist and stuff like that to this day. But yeah, I definitely had a few close calls that I was like, oh my God, did I give myself another concussion? Like whatever. And also, honest to God, like I feel like I'd never like hit my head really before this. Maybe, and probably I had, but I didn't notice. But you almost become hyper aware of that experience. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely had a few times I had to call someone and be like, "Do you think I have another concussion?" And be like, "It's okay."
Is it possible that you're just clumsy?
Yeah, I mean, yes. maybe I am.
It makes me. You hear of these athletes that go through like multiple concussions. How do they play?
I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
get that because you like a baseball catcher.
Mhm.
They might have 6, 7 concussions over the course of their career, and I'm always like, how in the world does that? How are you able to keep going?
Yeah. And I think sometimes they have specialists on their team who
I'm
help
sure.
them, but
Yeah,
I don't know what they do.
yeah.
Like
We
what
need to
would
find out.
I know. I know. We all need to find out because I'm like most of it's just like resting slash I guess working out a little bit because you have to like get your body back the
Yeah.
stamina. But I don't
But you
really
can't
know
do
how.
anything where your head's going to be moving like violently at all.
Exactly. Like they must have like a pill. No, I'm just kidding. Like a pill they
It's
take or something.
something. Yeah, something. I don't know. It kind of explains why a lot of athletes have so much trouble once they retire.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
just with concussions, but any type of injuries and stuff that they've suffered while they're playing. At some point you're going to pay for those.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next? Do you have once this one's out there fully,
Hmm.
what's your next project? Do you have something lined up that you're going to work on?
Yes, several things, but so doing a lot of pitching right now for some series that I've written,
I
which
know
is
what
really
that's like.
cool. Yeah, you know what it's like. So that's really exciting and really enjoying that process. And then kind of working on a couple of new projects, like a feature film that's really exciting.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. And then consulting on a couple of people's projects. So helping on someone else's feature and someone else's TV show. So yeah, it's a very exciting time.
I
Hopefully
like
taking some
that you're
downtime.
helping other people with their stuff because that's probably just fun.
It's so fun. I do a lot of story editing and consulting for
Yeah,
people. And I love it because it's almost like you can use all the skills you use in your own writing,
right.
but you get to show up and not be so emotionally attached
Well,
to
that's right.
work. Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
mean, when you the worst thing that would happen is they'd be like, "Nah, I like mine better."
exactly. And then
Yeah.
you
So
go,
no, okay.
amazing. Yeah, sure. No problem. No problem. Do whatever you got to do. It's
That's
okay.
right. Well, Laurel, this has been terrific. I knew it would be. I've been looking forward to this one. When you get the next thing out, you got to come back.
I would love to. This has been so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. So before I let you go over your social media if you have social media for the film and where people can watch it again.
For sure. So on Instagram and Facebook, we're chronic_the film.
Yeah.
And my personal, I have a website, laurelbradycreations.com, if you want to check anything out there.
Yeah, it's a good website. Do you do it yourself?
I do
Yeah,
myself.
yeah,
Thank
it's good.
you.
It's
Thank
good.
you. And yeah, just on Instagram. I think I'm under Laurel Brady. I'm not really quite sure.
I think you are. I think it
Okay.
comes right up. I know if you put your name in, it comes right up.
Amazing. Perfect. I'm like, I have no clue. Who knows? Yeah, but January 31st is our big online release. So if people are interested, we would love for you to check it out and share the film for anyone who could maybe use a laugh or some catharsis. So
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm putting it on my calendar because Brett and I want to watch it. You
I
want to
can't
check it out?
wait. I can't
Yeah.
wait for you to see it.
I'll send you something after.
Okay.
Let
Cool.
you know what we think.
Amazing. Thank you.
No,
I
it'll
like
be
I hate
good. It'll be
it.
good. Well, thank you, Laura, and please come back.
I would love to. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Okay, hold on one second. That was Laurel Brady. The movie is called Chronic. You can watch it on YouTube starting January 31st. So please keep an eye out for that. If you're someone that suffered a head injury or you know somebody that has one, it'll be cathartic. It also could give you some insight into what somebody is going through. The movie, I haven't seen it yet, but just from the description really spoke to me, and I think we explained why during the interview. But I'm so anxious to watch, and I think she's touching on a subject that we haven't really touched on before, at least in this way. With a little bit of humor, it's very real. Gives you some of what's going on inside the person who's hurt's mind. Really, really excited about that. I can tell you as a parent, watching your child go through something like that is excruciating. There wasn't a day that went by that I didn't wish that it was me that had gotten hurt and not Brett. Although I'm so proud of the way he responded. He completely changed, the way he looked. He was thinking he was going to be a football player, offensive lineman, needed to be big. So, laying around, not being able to work out for a year, he got, he wasn't muscular anymore. He got kind of big. But he took charge of that, got all of that weight off. Is amazing. And just watching him progress. Those of you that watch the podcast know Brett's a librarian, children's librarian. Absolutely so good at it. It's just, and he's in his element. I love going and seeing him at work because he's so happy. He's so good with the kids. He just very, very proud dad. And, I told the story about him coming back to school and getting hurt again. Well, over the course of that year, he lost lost contact, I'll say, with most of his friends. They were fairly young, 13, 14-year-old kids. They didn't know how to interact with him or what to do. And he kind of lost them. So when he finally goes back to school, we moved him to a different school in the district, and he kind of had to start over a little bit. And he got through all that, and is just doing terrific. He's engaged. He's got his own house. He's a librarian. He does such a great job on this podcast. Absolutely the best partner that I could have asked for. So I'll shut up. That was a little proud dad moment. So thank you for indulging me. If you're finding us for the first time, thank you. We have we're only a couple episodes away from 700 episodes, and we have had the best guests. You can find all of those, audio and video, on our website, meistercon.com. If you prefer to watch on YouTube, our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. I would just ask that you subscribe. That would really help us out. And it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, recently named us a top 100 podcast. There's 15 million podcasts out there. To hit a top 100 list, especially with IMDb, is just amazing. And we can't believe it or wrap our heads around it. So we're just kind of attributing it to the guests that we're having on the show. It's not us, it's the guests. Thank you for that. And if you go to imdb.com, pull up the Two Opinionated podcast, that's all you got to do. And it helps us, just that traffic on the page. And it's free too. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm once again here to ask for your support. It's been a big year for the Two Opinionated podcast. Back in February, we got to live out a dream, moderate for William Shatner here in our hometown. In May, we passed 100,000 downloads on our YouTube channel, and we followed that up in June with 50,000 downloads on the audio side. We recently posted our 600th episode, which is pretty good volume for just a father and son operation. Not too many podcasts can keep that volume up. We've been doing this now for 4.5 years, 600 plus episodes. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is a really big deal for us because we've always gotten the views, but have struggled to get people to subscribe. So that 1,000 was a big deal for us. And best of all, we were recently named one of the top podcasts on IMDb, which is the entertainment database. Those that are ahead of us, we came in at number 82. Those that are ahead of us are bigger companies like Disney, mostly Marvel, and Joe Rogan, that type of podcast. So for us, being just a small West Virginia father and son podcast, to be in the top 100 out of 15 million, it's a pretty big deal for us. So thank you for everything you've done for us so far. Got a couple little ways, though, that you can help us, and they're free and they're really easy. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel yet, please go to YouTube. It's under MeisterCon Pod. Just hit subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Really helps us a ton. And maybe even more important, if you could go to imdb, imdb.com, look up the Two Opinionated podcast, and just look around the page. just having that traffic on the page really helps us out. So that's a couple easy ways that you can support us, even if you're not listening or watching all of the time. And we want you to listen and watch, because I think that our guest list, I would put up against anybody, any other show, podcast, anybody out there. I think our guest list holds up. So please check us out. You probably will find somebody that you like, or maybe somebody that you didn't know you liked, but kind of discovered them on there. There's tons of that. If you're into music, we have that too. If you like books, we've got authors on there. If you're more into what goes on behind the scenes in the entertainment world, we've got producers, directors, video artists, anything you can think of that happens behind the scenes, we've had them on the show. So definitely check us out. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.